Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Wes Decker. Great to have you along this week, and we are definitely in the postseason mode. Lots of basketball coming your way before the show is over. We've got highlights and results from boys and girls playoffs. Plus, we'll look ahead to the upcoming Round Ball Classic at the end of March, beginning of April. That's all still to come. But we begin with wrestling. Region champions were crowned last week, and we're leading up to the big stage this coming Friday and Saturday at Showplace Arena in Upper Marlboro. And here to talk wrestling with me, Herald Mail sports editor Andy Mason. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Thanks for having me back, Wes.
Well, it was a pretty good weekend overall, I think, for county wrestlers. You know, when you raise the bar as high as it was raised last year, it's tough to think that we could get back there 2 years in a row with the number of qualifiers. But the guys who get through, first off, let's start in 2A, 1A with a region champion in Smithsburg's Shane Havermael.
Yeah, last year he was a region runner-up at 106 pounds. This year he comes back and he wins the title. He was Washington County's lone champion in 2A, 1A West, which is a very, very difficult tournament. But yeah, he won the title. He was down facing Southern Garrett's Bryson Dixon. He's down 2-0 in the second period. Dixon's a senior. He came in, I think, 42-1. You know, he's a very good wrestler. He's leading. It looked like the county might not have a champion this year, but Havermael, you know, strong reversal. Dixon's on his back, and, you know, it's over.
Yes.
Wins by pin, and he finished the tournament, you know, wrestled 3 guys, pinned them all. He's now 35-1, heading to states as a strong title contender.
Yeah, I think in 2A, 1A, certainly he is the guy that we will be focused on from a county standpoint going to states. But Boonesboro gets 3 of their 8 region qualifiers through. Quite a feat for the Warriors.
Yeah, well, the 8 region qualifiers matched a program record that they set last year. And now last year they got 2 state qualifiers out of those 8. This year they have 3, another program record. And, you know, they now they need some place winners. But yeah, they got Tristan Cook in. He was the region runner-up at 182, and Haven Huntsberry at 120, and Peter Riley at 195. Each finished 4th. Top 4 in each region go. So those guys just got in. But when you just get in from the, I shouldn't say, you know, but, you know, top 4 go, when you just get in as a 4th guy, you're still, compared to other regions, usually pretty good. I mean, the 2A, 1A West, you know, every year puts on a show at the state tournament. You know, they have Middletown, the state duels champ 2 years in a row. South Carroll, 3-time state tournament champion. Last year, 9 of the 14 weight class champs came from 2A, 1A West. So, you know, it's a very strong region. You get in from the region, you got a real good chance to place top 6 at states.
And Boonesboro gets all 3 of their county champions through to states. And Williamsport, and speaking of how difficult this is, Coach Mike Rektorovic calling it a meat grinder, and truly that is the case. I mean, there are 3 Williamsport guys who wound up just on the outside, not getting in, who had a combined 98 victories between them on the season, if that underscores even more how difficult this region is. But Cody Crawford and Brandon Oyster get through for the Wildcats.
Yeah, Cody Crawford was there last year. He's back this year. He got to the region final this year, runner-up at 126. Now he had to face Joey Thomas from South Carroll in the final. Joey Thomas, 2-time state champ, probably going to be a 3-time state champ, one of the best pound-for-pound wrestlers in this whole state. You know, so Cody Crawford, I don't think is going to states thinking he has, you know, Joey Thomas going to something's going to have to happen to him for Crawford to think he's going to win a state title. But Crawford's a kid who should. I expect him to be on the podium Saturday night, top 6. And Brandon Oyster, 220 pounds. You know, as a freshman, you know, there aren't many underclassmen, you know, in the heavyweight. So for him to qualify for states as a freshman is a huge accomplishment. And from 2A, 1A West, if you get there from that region, you have a chance to place.
Over in 4A, 3A North, Brian Stewart and Aaron Brooks lead the contingent of 7 North Hagerstown wrestlers as they each win region titles.
Yeah, as expected. You know, I think, you know, when these guys were freshmen, you know, they started their seasons as freshmen saying they wanted to be 4-time county champs, 4-time region champs, 4-time state champs, which, you know, no one in the county's ever done that. And those guys are saying that's their goal before they've even wrestled a county tournament. Well, they're more than halfway there. It's no huge surprise they won region titles. They're both 2-time state champs. Next, you know, a week from now, I expect us to be talking about them being 3-time state champs. But, you know, nothing's a given. You know, they're going to be wrestling some very good kids. You know, anyone can get caught in a headlock and pinned, you know, but I don't expect that to happen to these guys. You as we talked about earlier before coming on, Stewart, I guess, has a little bit of an ankle injury. I haven't had a chance to talk to anyone from North yet about, how that injury's, how he's doing with that. But even Brian Stewart, even at 70%, still going to win a state title.
Yeah, even after he injured that ankle late in that match, he still looked pretty darn good, finishing off his opponent there, a guy that he's very familiar with.
Yeah, Earl Blake from Linganore. That's a kid he wrestled in the region final last year, major decision, beat him in the state final, 8-1. This year, last week region final, beats him 15-6, another major decision. A guy he handles pretty easily, and I expect even if his ankle's not 100%, like I said, I don't see him losing if Blake even gets that far.
Right.
But, assuming Stewart gets that far, but, I am assuming that.
And I know Coach Slick is looking at this from a team standpoint now, but it's going to be tough. I mean, Damascus has got 11 guys going through, Huntingtown with 10. North has 7, but that's behind Oakdale, who just won the 4A, 3A North Region title. So it's going to be difficult, but you got Tyler Cook going through, Joe Gross, Caleb Corbin bouncing back after all of that controversy. He gets through to states, and then Justin Balsita and Hoyt Cheney, also all part of the North guys who are going. And then for South Hagerstown, as you said, I mean, the youth movement continues there. I mean, Caleb Everhart, a runner-up in the regions, and Sean King Pombo, Sean King Pombo as a junior, and he was about 14 seconds away from wrestling for a region championship. So again, the future very bright there, but the immediacy, of course, is coming up this Friday and Saturday.
Oh yeah, you were talking about the teams. Damascus definitely is the team to beat. They've won this tournament the last 2 years. They just won their 5th straight state dual meet championship title. I mean, they are clearly the team to beat. They have with 11 state qualifiers. It's hard for me to imagine anyone knocking them off, but it could happen. North, we know North's going to get big points from Brooks and Stewart, and they've got a couple other kids I expect to see on the podium. But they're going to have the best day of their season, and Damascus is going to have to be a little bit off for them to have a chance.
A lot of guys are going to have to go very deep for North Hagerstown to pull it off, but we'll find out. That's coming up this Friday and Saturday in Upper Marlboro. Andy, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Wes.
I'll be back in just a moment. Girls basketball next with Bob Parsaliti in just a moment.
Champions are not merely born, they're forged in the crucible that is flag football. With equal parts turf, pigskin, and heart. That's why Buffalo Wild Wings donates to boys and girls clubs across the country to not only help thousands of kids learn about teamwork on and off the field, but to help them fulfill their destiny, to shred defensive lines, terrorize the secondary, and emerge bonded as true champions.
I saw what Dr. Eklund was doing, and I was pretty confident he could help me. I had 20 teeth extracted and 20 implants placed in the same day. I'm extremely happy with the results. I feel great. You forget the confidence, how you eat, how you smile. It's been amazing, and I'm confident that he would do wonders for them as well.
Here at Potomac Dental Center, it's more than just teeth. We give people back their lives.
Welcome back to the show. We continue with girls basketball now, girls playoff basketball. I'm joined by Herald Mail insider Bob Parsaliti. Bob, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Let's start in 3A West, Section 2 quarterfinal last Friday night. North and South Hagerstown for the third time this year. The two teams come out of the blocks and combine for 26 points in the first quarter, but they only score 49 between them the rest of the game, and South winds up scoring just 19 more as North wins 43-32. Kyra Stubbs with a big game and doing it under duress.
Well, she did a great job. She's doing the job that she's supposed to do as a point guard, and that is control the game, go after the points, be the final option. By and large, neither team was shooting that well. She's the one that you want at the foul line. She's the one you want driving the ball, and she did her job well. On the south side, they're very limited, and admittedly, they admit this, they're very limited in what they can do and how they score. They scored a lot early because things were moving well and they were playing well, but as the game wore on, it got a little bit of individualized and a little bit of panic maybe, and it fell apart.
Yeah, 24 points for Stubbs in the win. So North moved on to the region semifinal against the top seed Frederick, the defending region champion, on Monday night, and it was all Frederick 70-25. Stubbs out for the final 3.5 quarters of that game with a thumb injury, which did not help the North cause. So 3A West went by the boards for Washington County at that point. In 2A West, the team that last year made it all the way to the state championship game, Williamsport, starting at home against Middletown, a team with which the Wildcats had split 2 regular season games. And Williamsport came out playing very strong against Middletown. It was a little bit of back and forth, but then Williamsport got a lead that the Wildcats were able to hold on to by playing very good defense early on, limiting Middletown to just 13 first half points.
Well, defense was the big thing on both sides in that first half. Neither team did a very good job, or neither team could get a good, clean offensive looks without really working for them. There were no, very little transition, very little, one pass shoot type things. I mean, there was a couple of times where they were under 5 seconds when both teams when they had to shoot. And that was the key for Williamsport. They were moving the ball. They had to move the ball now with everything that's been going on. They had to move the ball in and pass the ball to get shots for somebody else in order to be successful.
And Williamsport actually went one stretch of the first half where they didn't score for almost 7 minutes. That would be a precursor of what would come later in the game. After they built an 8-point lead, their largest of the game, all of a sudden then Middletown went on a run that just seemingly never ended. It was about a 36, 38-second stretch at one point where Middletown scored 7 points without Williamsport ever having a possession. And after that, when things unraveled for the Wildcats, it just completely went away with Middletown making shots, Williamsport not making shots.
Well, the precursor to that came at the end of the third quarter with the 8-point lead. Williamsport doesn't score the rest of the way. Middletown hits 2 back-to-back threes about 30 seconds apart, and then a shot to tie the score at 28 going into the fourth quarter. Williamsport scores the first, I think it was Aaron McVicker hit like an 18-foot jumper to start the fourth quarter, and then after that it was nothing but Middletown.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, too, because you talk about momentum switching in a game. I've never seen the momentum run downhill quite the way it did from that point forward.
Well, the thing about it is the game got a big blowout because Williamsport started fouling. When they got down like 9 points and nothing was falling, they were fouling, just trying to make Middletown win in at the line, and they did. I mean, they sank their last 12 points that way. But in the section before that, there was that sequence that you talked about with 7 points without a possession. And I mean, right there, you're looking at 19 points, and it was all in that run of 21 straight points that Middletown scores that blow the game open. And with each basket after that, it got more and more difficult for Williamsport to come back because they've never really been in that situation.
So Middletown eliminates Williamsport 51-34. Williamsport out-rebounded 34-17, only the second time all season the Wildcats have been out-rebounded decisively as Williamsport's season ends with a record of 20-3. Meantime, over in 1A West Section 2 in the semifinals there, Boonesboro defeats Clear Spring 38-27. The Warriors shoot 21% from the field and were out-rebounded by 20, yet they walk away with a W.
Well, that means that part of it is that Clear Spring didn't take care of the ball to get the chances.
32 turnovers.
Couldn't get the shots.
Yeah.
And again, in the last half of the season, to me, from what I see with Clear Spring, was that they were playing at the pace they needed to, a 30-point game. But when you make 32 turnovers, especially in a close game, that really hurts.
Yeah, more turnovers than points and playing without Matty McDonough, who usually facilitates that offense. So Boonesboro moving on to face Smithsburg now in the section final. The Leopards defeating Brunswick 54-34. And I think a real good sign for Smithsburg is 8 players scored for them, and that's really what they need. They need to balance that offense, spread things around.
Well, part of that was Chip Bachtel's final quote in the paper after that story was the idea that everybody knows that we do pressure and everybody knows that we want to get up and down the floor. When if that's the case, you're not setting the offense. A lot of people get into scoring when you're doing in transition a lot. It's like it's a jailbreak and whoever gets there first, basically. So, I mean, that's when Smithsburg's at its best. And that's what they're going to need to do against Boonesboro. And Boonesboro really did a good job against their press the last time they played.
Yeah, that will be an interesting matchup coming up on Wednesday before the show even airs for the section title. And then the region title will be up for grabs between the winner of that game and the winner of Fort Hill and Southern Garrett coming up on Friday. So we'll talk about that next week. Bob, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm back right after this with boys basketball. Playoffs there with Tim Kelby in just a moment.
When it comes to hearing loss, who will be taking care of you? Audiologist Dr. Karen Hamilton is Hagerstown's hearing doctor, working to improve the quality of life for those with hearing loss. At Audiology Services, Dr. Hamilton focuses on evaluation and diagnosis to provide solutions for treating hearing loss. Using the latest technology, she programs hearing aids to meet your unique needs and ensures they fit properly and comfortably. Audiology Services participates with most insurance companies and will check benefits and file claims on your behalf. Dr. Hamilton and her team also serve the community through Hagerstown Hearing, which focuses on providing crystal clear sound in places such as theaters, churches, offices, and homes. Hagerstown Hearing installs looping systems that allows those with hearing loss to enjoy speech clarity and noise reduction, providing an experience like never before. To learn more about Audiology Services and Hagerstown Hearing, call 301-790-3300. Audiology Services and Hagerstown Hearing, providing crystal clear sound.
Welcome back to the show. We continue with more basketball now. Boys playoff basketball. Joining me for that is Herald Mail insider Tim Kelby. Welcome back to the show, Tim.
Hello there. Playoff time it is.
Yeah, it's playoff time, so we
Yep.
bring in the big gun here. First,
A gun.
Yeah, well, nonetheless. Let's talk about 3A West quarterfinals from last Friday night first.
Didn't last too long.
Not for North Hagerstown. They get the home game against
Yeah.
Frederick, but 8 turnovers and 8 points in the first quarter just sort of set the tone for
Yeah,
what was to come.
they got behind the 8 ball right away, and that was a team that for some reason, you're 14-8, you've won 6 out of your last 8 games. Coach said after the game had some good practices during the week. You'd think, hey, we're ready, let's go. They came out, and as I said in my story, did they have a pulse? And it looked like nothing was there. Finally, they started to wake up. But it was too much too late.
Yeah, Frederick shot very well, too,
Yeah, they did.
especially early. 65-51, North bows out. Meantime, South Hagerstown on the road at TJ. Third meeting between those two teams this season. South pushed it to the limit, went to
Yeah.
overtime, but just couldn't get over the
Yeah,
hump.
went to overtime, 67-62 loss. And, it's, South, it ends at 7-15, and like North, but even more so South, I think, a little bit. That team could have very well have been 15-7 this year. A break here, a break there, especially against the 3A meat grinder in Frederick County that they've got to go up against. But nonetheless, 3A is done, gone.
Yeah, 0-12 out of county
Absolutely,
this season
yeah.
for South Hagerstown. 1A West Section 2 semifinal action played on Tuesday night. 4th-seeded Boonesboro and top-seed Smithsburg. And nobody can figure out these teams all year long, so it's apropos that Boonesboro beats Smithsburg 62-48.
Go figure. What night? It's one of those cliches. What team is going to show up on any given night? And Boonesboro obviously showed up on the right side, and Smithsburg just kept on going in their, in their sections to the year, which turns out to be 7-7-7.
Yeah.
7 losses, 7 wins, and the end was 7.
Smithsburg up 22-21 at halftime, and then outscored in the second half 41-28.
Yeah, well, Boonesboro got a little bit of help with the return of Saunders back to the lineup. Rogers had a big game with 18.
Bryce
so,
Rogers was outstanding.
Yeah, so again, they've got the capabilities. They got to show up every night.
And the guys inside, Max Conrad.
Conrad had a good game on the boards.
And
had
Ryan
10
Nolan,
points.
too.
Yeah, and he scored 10 points. Did he score 10 points all year?
Yeah,
going into that game.
Not many more if he
Really?
did, but
Yeah,
that
for
was
sure.
the time to show up
Yeah,
for Boonesboro,
no
no
doubt.
question. So they move on
Yeah.
to the section final opposite Clear Spring, a team that could not solve Brunswick during the regular season. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago to the day,
That's right.
Brunswick had beaten Clear Spring, but Clear Spring wins that semifinal 63-50.
Well, I guess you'd say they did it at the right time, and they needed 2 players to do it. Myers with 28, and Michael with 23. So, 51 points out of your 63-point production. It's going to catch up with you down the road. You need those other guys somewhere along the way. But this week, this game against Boonesboro, you're used to one another, so it may not make any difference.
A lot of familiarity there, and
Yeah.
I have to think that Jarrett Lozich being back helped Michael Myers score that many
It
points.
sets him up.
been-
It sets him up a lot better
Yeah,
for the
he-
passing game.
Right.
He can work off that passing game
yeah.
of Lozich. So that's a big advantage for Clear Spring. 9-14 Boonesboro, 10-13 Clear Spring, and one of those guys are moving on. Okay.
But it almost makes sense.
Yeah, it does. The way the year.
Boys public basketball has
Yeah,
played out
for
this season.
sure.
By the way, with Clear Spring winning that game, that ended a run of 6 straight county schools this season, boys and girls, who had played a team for the 3rd time this year,
Yeah.
and every time there had been a sweep
It's
until
hard.
that one.
It just tells you how hard it is to beat somebody 3 times in a year.
Yeah, well, normally that's how it would work. But
Yeah,
Clear Spring, the
it's
only team to break
sometimes-
through, and then Williamsport hoping over in 2A West,
Yes.
Section 1, that was just an anomaly, that they would get their 3 for 3 against Middletown. But Tim, you covered that game. They made it very difficult on themselves.
No, they came out and they probably played some of the best basketball in the first quarter that they've played all year. Jake Arnone was a superhuman in the first quarter. 8 points. He was running the floor. He was on the boards, and before you know it, Williamsport's got a 20-4 lead, or 20-6, whatever it was. But they had a 20-point first quarter, and they turn around and they back it up with a 4-point second quarter. Everything that they did in the first quarter, Middletown made some adjustments, and they started a little bit of 1-2-2's defense, started some traps, and all of a sudden, the 8 turnovers that Middletown had in the first quarter was turning over to the Williamsport side in the second quarter. And eventually, Evan Joseph started getting hot from the field, and they caught up, took a lead, and then we had a ball game the rest of the way.
55-52, Williamsport wins it in overtime. And do you feel at all like they've sort of exorcised some post-season demons, because Middletown had been the team that had knocked them out the last 2 years?
Yeah, last 2 years. So that was a big win. We go back to the free throws. The other reason why they were so lucky, hitting 18 out of 34. Horrible free throw shooting. The game should never even gone overtime. But Middletown is, they gave it all they had. But Williamsport's got to feel awful good. They got to feel a little bit lucky. Ryan Grable said, we are just flat out not a good free throw shooting team. Almost caught them, but they got to feel good, and they got to have some confidence going up to a tough place to play at Mountain Ridge.
Very much so. All the way
on
to
Thursday.
Frostburg. That's right. Well, Tim, thank you so much for being here. A whirlwind tour of what's happened so far. I'm back right after this. A look ahead at the upcoming Round Ball Classic in just a moment.
Tony's Pizza in Williamsport has had the same simple philosophy since 1985. Start with simple products. Sauce from the best Italian tomatoes. The best cheese and dough made fresh every day. Then mix those with a great atmosphere, and you'll have the best dining experience you can find. Tony's is known for their pasta dishes, subs, pizzas, and specialty items like their Nutella Dots and the famous Crazy Tony. Simply put, they want to give the best food they can give to their customers. So stop in today to Tony's Pizza in Williamsport.
Life's expensive. You've got your home, your car, maybe a family, and now you're thinking about earning your degree. At Kaplan University, we get it. When it comes to the cost of your education, every bit helps. That's why we created Tuition Cap. It's a program that sets the maximum amount you'll pay for college. Once you meet the cap, the rest of your degree is free. That's right, free. That adds up to a 33% savings off the full tuition. It's all part of our promise to make college more affordable. Learn how you can save with Kaplan University's Tuition Cap program at 1-866-KAPLAN-4.
Welcome back to the show. We talked 2017 Round Ball Classic presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, now with the Round Ball Classic PR Director, Rick Reeder. Welcome to the show, Rick.
Wes, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, it's always good to see you. And this is the 12th annual Round Ball Classic. Hard to believe. It's been since 2006 now. And one thing that's happened each and every year, it's gotten bigger and better. So what's new? What's making it bigger and better this year?
Well, this year, Wes, we've decided to go a little bit younger, and that's what kicks off the Round Ball Classic this year. 3-day event, first time in the history of the event, and we're using 2 different venues. So let me give you an idea where we're at. South Hagerstown High School will be the venue on Friday night, March 31st, and we're going to kick things off with our first ever Youth All-Star Game. This is a Future Stars Classic, which will feature kids from the Washington County area and west, and kids from the Frederick County area. We feel there's a lot of competition between Washington and Frederick County, and this is a great idea to get more people involved and have this youth event.
And this is kids 14 and under?
Yeah, 7th and 8th grade students, comprised of mostly all the middle schools in Washington County. We also have Isaiah Dillinger from Broad Fording Christian, who is considered probably one of the best 8th graders in the area. And then in Frederick County, we have Catoctin, Monocacy, other schools down there. So we've got a lot of response. This has really taken a life of itself. And, you know, it's going to be a good deal. And then we're going to go from one extreme to the other, because right after that youth game, we're going to go old school, and we're going back to the Legends Classic. You may remember 2 years ago at North Hagerstown, our inception, that North beat the South Legends by a couple points, so we decided to give South a chance in the rematch to defend their own court.
I know who remembers that, and that's the guys who played in that game for both North and South, so now South gets this one on its home turf.
Exactly, and that was a brainstorm that we came up with that we thought would be wonderful to get more people involved. We had pretty much a standing room only crowd 2 years ago at North, and although the capacity is a little bit less at South, we've had such a response already. We figure when these youth all-stars take the court at 6 o'clock, they're going to see a packed house already.
Yeah, it should be a great experience for them, and the Legends coming back. And then we've got 11 more games over the next 2 days featuring high school seniors.
Well, then we go back to North High, whereas in Hub Arena, where we normally have our games. The girls are going to kick things off at noon on Saturday afternoon. Our first 2 games will be girls. Some of the best girls in the area and out of the area will be competing, followed by 3 boys games. And our highlight game on Saturday night, Wes, is going to be the 6 o'clock game, and that'll be the South Mountain Showdown. It will be comprised of Washington County players against Frederick County players. We did this for the first time last year. We got a lot of response, a lot of favoritism. People really like the fact that we, you know, highlight that rivalry over the mountain. And so that's going to be our big game then to finish day 1 on Saturday.
Can you give me maybe a handful of names, some of the Washington County players that people would be familiar with who will be competing?
A couple of the kids that are going to be participating in that event on Saturday, obviously the North High contingent, J.R. White, Ravon Dillard, and John Teague, Tyseen Hanna from Boonesboro, also Elijah Clarence and Jay Kuhn for St. Marie Goretti, and Markeel Nelson and Jake Arnone from Williamsport. So those are just a few from the Washington County area, and some of those same players are going to be participating in our final game of the event, and on Sunday at 6:30, that'll be the boys Mason-Dixon Elite game, and that'll be comprised of boys from the Antietam area against the Mid-Penn division. We got a lot of good kids coming in from Carlisle and Cumberland Valley, some kids across the Mason-Dixon line. So that's going to be a great way to wrap up the day's events.
What's the response been recently from college coaches and scouts?
We have had early reports that we've had a college coach from Vermont who has requested passes. Last year, we had college scouts as far away as Florida and Nebraska that attended our event, and we had nearly 50 college coaches. You never know what it's going to be, and all I can say is you come to the event, look at the tables at the end of the court, take a look at some of the college scouts and coaches, because now kids that are flying under the radar get a chance to be seen one final time.
Right, and very quickly, where is information available on this event prior to it taking place?
Very quickly, you go to roundballclassicevent.com. All the information you need on there. I will tell you very quickly, general admission on Friday night at South High, just $5 each. Okay. Get there early, doors will open at 5. Tickets for Saturday and Sunday, $10, that's an all-day pass. and that'll get you in. Our list of games, game times, and the players that will be playing in the event are on our website. So we invite our viewers to go to the website and check it out.
Well, just like any PR director, he's over his time limit, and he didn't pay his admission, so Rick is gone. Rick, no, thank you for being here, and best of luck with the event once again. It just keeps getting bigger and better, and tell Dave I said hello.
I will do, Wes. Thank you very much.
That's it for this week on the show. Coming up next week, we've got wrestling state champions, and we'll update you on where we are in the basketball playoffs, both boys and girls. Until then, thanks so much for watching. I'll look for you then, again, on The Inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers, your haters and your